discovery of pipe bombs in downtown Denver as a man with ties to our city is arrested by the feds. The impact of a day without immigrants is felt here. We'll hear from an immigrant who chose pride over profit today. And my thoughts on what's missing in that discussion. A sheriff tries to lock down more rumors about immigration checkpoints. What we've learned from newly released video of the fatal crash on the A-line. And if you think Colorado's pension system sounds like a boring topic, well then just hear how the people in charge of it talk to each other.
You guys got all the
More honest talk is next. We begin tonight with everything that we know about a federal investigation that's led agents to find pipe bombs in downtown Denver. Sources tell 9 Wants to Know and NBC News that a man from Colorado is facing federal charges after the discovery of those explosives inside his hotel room downtown. Adam Hyatt had been staying at the Sheridan at 15th Street and Court Place. Yesterday, he flew to Los Angeles, and that is where today he was arrested at the Holiday Inn near LAX. Hyatt is an American citizen. He'd previously served as a U.S. Marine. He has no Colorado arrest record that we could find. Denver police and the FBI are investigating. Hyatt is expected to face an explosives charge. We haven't heard anything about terrorism-related charges. The impacts of the nationwide Day Without Immigrants were felt in Colorado today as employees and students stayed home to protest immigration policy. And it was tougher to find a good meal on Broadway, where several restaurants closed to give employees the day off. I sat down in the middle of one empty restaurant, Maria Empanada, to talk with its immigrant owner, Lorena Cantrovici, who came here from Argentina legally, stayed here illegally, and then became an American citizen.
I'm happy with what I did today. I hope they are happy with what they did today, too. It was not with the intention, in my case, to look for a resolution or a change of a law or nothing like that. Absolutely no the intention. The intention is to be able to show who I am.
I imagine that you're losing money today. Does that concern you?
It is. Of course, this is a small business. You don't have an idea. I run to everywhere, you know. I'm a dishwasher, I'm a business owner, I'm an employee, I'm a secretary of myself. So yes, it concerns me, but at the same time I want to know who I am. And when I made the decision, is trying to don't forget who I am. And if I need to decide of having few dollars in my bank and be who I am, I prefer to go for who I am.
Denver Public Schools preliminarily reported an attendance drop today of about 5% more than yesterday. Skinner Middle School parents were called to bring kids breakfast because of the number of cafeteria employees who chose not to come to work today. DPS leadership came before the TV cameras and reiterated their promise, consistent with the law, that the district will serve students regardless of whether or not their parents are in this country legally.
The Denver Public Schools will do everything in our lawful power to protect our students' confidential information and to ensure that their learning environments are not disrupted by immigration enforcement actions. And included in that, we will continue our practice as required by law to not ask for, nor collect, nor keep any information about our students' immigration status.
And for the second day in a row, we're hoping that you can help us knock down all those false rumors of immigration checkpoints around Colorado. The claims are circulating on Facebook and Twitter. Again, we have not seen any evidence of immigration checkpoints in Colorado. ICE flatly denies that it conducts checkpoints here. And it says that the mass enforcement actions that we have seen in other cities are not happening in Colorado. Weld County Sheriff Steve Reams is frustrated about the panic and the confusion caused by these rumors.
A politically charged time right now, and ICE is one of those things that many people are focused on, or immigrants. So all it takes is for one person to make an irresponsible comment, and then others can either fear it or further it. Either way, it's one of those things that's been going around that obviously creates calls for service for law enforcement, or at least inquiries of law enforcement that are just, quite frankly, not in the best interest of us being able to do police work.
So by all means, feel free to bring these claims to our attention, especially if any of them are ever backed up by evidence, video, photos, eyewitnesses that we can talk to. But otherwise, please help us limit the danger caused by these fake claims. Challenge them when you see them on social media.
You've seen a piece of video streaming across local TV all day today. It's video of an A-line train slamming into a van early Tuesday morning. Aurora police released the video this morning. You don't need to see that crash anymore. Police say it appears to be suicide by train. But if you just log on to YouTube and watch this video, you are missing an important explanation. This is moments after the crash. All the other train gates in the crossing are down except this one. RTD says that this is the exit gate for the crossing, and seconds after the crash, that gate goes down and then goes straight back up. To the untrained eye, it would appear that gate is not working, but it actually is. RTD says there is a sensor in the pavement that tracks and senses if a car is in the intersection. If there is a car on that sensor, the gates remain up so that driver can get out of a potentially dangerous situation.
If the vehicle is in between, in the safe zone, what we call, the exit gates still remain up to allow it to evacuate, and our systems are timed with the local cities so that the actual green light will turn in front of them to let them evacuate further. It'll stop cross traffic and make sure that that person has the opportunity to leave that intersection safely.
Now, there are Union Pacific freight tracks and A-line tracks at this crossing. The crossing gate actually covers both sets of tracks. We asked RTD today why the A-line doesn't have a separate crossing gate. They say this gives vehicles a chance to maneuver and get out of the way in case a train is coming, Kyle.
It's been an education for all of us, as much as we talk about the A-line, to actually see those gates in motion. Steve,
absolutely.
Thanks. Getting caught texting while driving in our state is rare, and it's not that expensive. It's a $50 ticket that isn't often issued, less than one conviction per day statewide. Politics guy Brandon Rittiman tells us about the bipartisan push to make people pay if they put other drivers in danger.
The idea of cracking down on texters gets a push from stories like Lori Taggart's.
And a young lady coming down the hill hit them doing 55 miles an hour while she was texting. My father was driving, and the car literally wrapped around my one-year-old niece, and no one died. However, the texter did almost lose her life.
We've grown attached to our smartphones, and lawmakers, they've got eyes. They see the same awful driving you do. Still, the idea of cracking down took a little compromise. This bill started as an idea from Democrats in the Republican-controlled Senate. So why is it on the fast track to passing now? Well, Republicans had one major concern, which is that people might be at a stoplight or something, not actually in a moving car, texting someone while they're waiting for the light to change and then get this really hefty ticket. In order to address that, they've added some language to the bill that essentially says you're only going to get this hefty ticket if you were, yes, using your phone, but also driving carelessly because of it. They've also compromised on the penalty itself. It was going to be a $500 fine and 5 points on your license for a first offense. Now they've reduced that just a little bit to $300 for a first offense and 4 points on your license. That's the same point violation as running a stoplight. The penalty is meant to change the minds of drivers and police to get them to ticket more aggressively.
Once the officers know that this is really for egregious behavior and a serious penalty, they'll start looking at it differently as well.
You think of the cost of taking a life, think of all the rear-end accidents, think of what's going on here. They are $300 pales in comparison to that.
One last technical point that's important to understand. Even though we're calling this a texting bill, it really applies to just about anything you could do on your phone. You don't literally have to be typing out a text. You could be searching around on Facebook or picking a song in any of your apps. And if you're distracted because of it, that could get you this hefty fine if this bill becomes law. For Next, I'm Brandon Rittiman.
You heard Brandon say if. This is still a plan in progress. There will be tweaks to the bill as it moves through a Senate committee, then floor votes in the Senate, perhaps the House. So we'll keep you updated on air, online, and via text alerts, which we know you do not read while driving. A final word on today's Day Without Immigrants protest. Viewers have written to me to suggest, great, so be it. One person wrote, didn't disrupt my day. Can they take more days off? Day Without Immigrants went just fine. Today went just fine because most immigrants went to work today. Suggesting otherwise is fooling yourself. Credible economists have found that illegal immigration depresses the wages of Americans without a high school diploma, but the presence of those workers has a net economic positive for most other Americans. The people wishing for some kind of rapture where a chunk of Colorado's population the size of Fort Collins would just vanish, those people would be wise to remember what the book says about how life goes for the folks left behind. Not great. So let's debate immigration policy. What's best for Americans? What's best for people who aspire to be Americans? But let's not pretend a day without immigrants was actually a day without immigrants. And let's not pretend that a simple solution wouldn't have some real consequences for people on both sides of the fence. If the Colorado Treasurer's office has a swear jar, I bet it's pretty full if this is how they talk to people at public meetings. We'll talk politics, honestly, on whether reporters are unfairly criticizing the president if his insults are exactly what his voters wanted. Then we'll take a break from politics and escape to a place where the slippery fish are actual slippery fish. Next. A state employee you've likely never heard of did something you likely wouldn't approve of and lost his job that you likely didn't even know existed. John Forbes is the second in command to State Treasurer Walker Stapleton, or at least for the rest of the month, as he's been fired when he asked to resign. Why? Because of his behavior at 2 board meetings for PARA being the retirement fund for more than 500,000 Colorado employees. At last Friday's meeting, with Treasurer Stapleton participating over the phone, Forbes wanted to be recognized to speak.
We're going to have one person represent the Treasury, John. Guillermo, did you have a comment?
Lynn alluded to that.
You guys go.
Wow.
One board member told us the thump you heard was Forbes throwing a water bottle against the wall. It's not the first time he's had an outburst at a PARA meeting. In August of 2015, while filling in for the Treasurer Stapleton, Forbes literally called BS.
Please tell me right now, Lynn, that cannot happen here. Of course it can happen here, but it doesn't happen in business. You're dead wrong on that. I don't know.
That is the most lively public meeting I have ever heard in my life. John Forbes is fired. He is resigning as of March 1st. His letter to Stapleton, his boss, says, "I know I caused you some political damage lately as a result of my actions, and for that, I am truly sorry." Now, we wanted to sit down with the treasurer. That's not going to happen until next week. The treasurer, Republican, who's widely thought to be preparing for a run for governor, issued a statement saying, "We don't condone this language. After the first incident, we issued a warning. After the second incident, we asked the deputy treasurer for a letter of resignation. He submitted it, and we accepted." So let's talk politics, honestly. Specifically, President Donald Trump's big press conference this morning, where he railed against very fake news reporters, mocked Hillary Clinton, and argued over whether he is being treated fairly. There was precious little about the policies that he's pursuing as president, which got me thinking. I wonder what percentage of President Trump's base, having given up long ago on the ability of any politician to really change their lives for the better, would just be satisfied to have a president who rails against their enemies, the left, elites, the media? Or does he have to deliver on the campaign promises to hold their support? We put that question to our political experts, left and right.
Look, the first month of any administration is really mostly about transition. We've got a situation where Trump is now trying to get his cabinet appointed and approved through the Senate process. And so it's obvious that a lot of the things that people are expecting aren't going to happen immediately. This is a long game. However, we have seen a lot of movement from the administration. In addition to that, trust in the mainstream media is at an all-time low across the country, and so quite frankly, it's important that Donald Trump is trying to hold mainstream media accountable.
Look, yeah, I mean, he should be delivering on his promises, right? I mean, he's kept a lot of the worst campaign promises so far. $18 billion wall, possibly $30 billion wall, signed the executive order that day. Muslim ban, signed the executive order that day. So unfortunately, there are a lot of promises this guy is keeping. What I don't think he can actually deliver on is jobs for the middle class. He's got a big fight against his own party in Congress right now. These people don't want to spend more money. An infrastructure bill requires a lot of spending. So I think that's where the rubber's going to fall off the tires here, and we're going to have to see. This has been a whirlwind, the most active first couple weeks, I guess, maybe a month of an administration in the history of the country, and it's been nuts so far, so I think it'll probably continue.
The most Colorado thing we saw today is a long way from the city heat. I'll handle your weather forecast again, so we know that'll be totally professional. And we'll meet the guys that you call if you want to get a fish out of Colorado's waters and onto your wall. Next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is so much snow, it is muffin topping over a roof line in the high country. Mike and Brenda Patrick sent us this picture of snow piling up on ranger kiosks at the Long Lake Trailhead in the Indian Peaks Wilderness. Do not hashtag hey next to me and say that this is snow-covered patio furniture. It's not. It's nicer, it's more remote, and it is the most Colorado thing we saw today. Oh no, it's just me again. Hey, another record-breaking day of heat in the middle of our Colorado winter. Another day when you do not need a 3-minute weather forecast to tell you it was stinking gorgeous today, it'll be stinking gorgeous tomorrow, and the weekend is getting a slow clap from Cody Broadway on the floor tonight. Slow clap it up for the weekend, that's what I'm saying. If you thought of ice today, it was probably to cool yourself off, mentally at least. Up at Lake Granby, ice is what stands between them and a fat supply of lake trout. Bernie Keefe and Dan Shannon have been fishing Lake Granby for a combined 45 years. And if you want to catch a bunch of trout or just chase around those elusive monsters, that's the team you call.
I've been out fishing on this lake for the last probably 15 years. It's excitement, utter excitement. I still shake when I get big fish onto the ice. It's a big dump of adrenaline.
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Over 30 years I've been fishing on the lake and fishing this lake like a madman. See that? Ha! It's been such an incredible career that you don't wish for stuff this good to happen to you.
That's pretty cool. We will visit with one of Neck's favorite viewers and a disgusting piece of feedback next. It's a sign, and it was sent to us by Next viewer named Deborah Adams. It's at a Conoco gas station in Denver. It's just rude to pass gas. Do you get it? I get it. I drive past this thing every day. And I will tell you, this station near 6th and York, very strong sign game every single day. Send us the signs that catch your eye around our state. Email us next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. See, too many TV news programs worry about current viewers instead of focusing on the viewers of the future, which are clearly babies. And babies apparently like this program. This is Matt Minot's son. His name is Kellen. He's a year old, lives in Denver, and he enjoys learning about current events in our community and dancing to the next music. You know, shaking it, waving his hands, and so forth. His parents happen to record him doing this. This is a nightly thing that they do, and it's too good not to share. Kellen, we appreciate you as a viewer and appreciate the fact that your parents will throw on Next from time to time. We finish with your feedback, and quite a bit of it tonight, about my thoughts on A Day Without Immigrants, that protest and what it means for our community. Bill thoughtfully writes, your pontification was disgusting. You often scold your viewers? Well, Bill, what we do around here quite often is to share not only what's happening, but our thoughts about why it's happening. You might call it pontification. We call it commentary or analysis. We clearly label it so you know when you're getting my thoughts as opposed to the facts in the day's news. And do I do it often? Yes, I do. I just don't notice when you agree with me. We'll see you next time.